Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Dumelang absheni ralocha sanvarani mulweni. My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. Now this week, the military government of Mali, under the leadership of Colonel Assimi Goïta, has actually seized 3 tons of gold from the Canadian mining giant Barrick Gold over unpaid taxes. Now, this seizure, valued at around $245 million, is part of an escalating dispute over the share of mining revenues owed to the Malian state. Now, I believe this isn't just about business or international relations, right? This is about the fight for justice and the survival of Africa's resources for the benefit of its own people. And I do want to take a moment to unpack what's really happening here. Number one, what it means for Mali, and number two, what it means for the broader African continent from a personal perspective as an African myself, right? Now, when we talk about gold in West Africa, we're not talking about some abstract commodity. We're talking about resources that should be lifting up entire nations. Mali, which is a nation rich in gold, has long been a beacon of Africa's natural wealth, right? But for years, foreign companies, mostly Western, have been extracting this wealth while leaving very little behind for the local populations who live under some of the harshest economic conditions on the continent. And Mali's gold reserves are enormous, right? But the people living in places like Kayes, where Barrick's gold was seized, remain in poverty, suffering from the lack of infrastructure and basic services. And why? Because the big share of the profits from these mines really stays in Mali. Instead, it's funneled out of the country and into the pockets of shareholders abroad. And for me, this hits differently because it's not just about an economic story. It's a story of historical exploitation, which is something many African countries are still grappling with today. The narrative of rich Africa alongside poor Africans is all too familiar. And it's something that has been perpetuated by centuries of colonization and neo-colonialism. And I won't pretend to know the full political intricacies of the military government in Mali, but there is something deeply symbolic and even empowering about seeing an African government stand up to these foreign mining giants, at least in principle, right? And yes, I understand the complexities. Mali is facing internal instability, jihadist violence, and an ever-present battle for control over its territory. But let's not overlook the fact that in the last few years, many African leaders are beginning to challenge the traditional relationship with foreign corporations. And Mali's seizure of Barrick's gold, while controversial, I believe is a manifestation of a broader movement and a pushback against decades of resource extraction with little regard for the lives of the local people. And in the end, right, this case reminds us that the struggle for Africa's resources is far from over. It's not just about raw materials. It's about sovereignty, it's about dignity, and it's about ensuring that Africa can one day control its destiny without having to rely on the whims of foreign powers or companies that have never actually had the interests of African people at heart. What are your thoughts on this? Please, let's continue the conversation in the comment section. We really want to hear from you. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me till we meet